Put my wig on. Okay.
Hello.
My stylist is putting my wig up to the front.
Hello.
Right there. I'm going to get on him about that. Bring it up a little bit. Bring it up a little bit. I have to always handle these gray hairs. Hey.
Can I do the intro? Stacy D, can I do the intro?
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Before you carry on. Hello and welcome to
hair.
Yes.
Mr. Walker, what did you give the sign?
He threw it up, and after he threw it up, you adjusted your wig. Everybody saw you adjust your wig.
All Black women, you know, I'm sorry, and my Caucasian sisters and Asian sisters too, you know, we all wear the extensions now because we have to look out good. And I got a brand new one. You know what her name is? Her name is Molly. I got to tell King that I'm wearing Molly today. sorry, let's go. Come
on. Molly, fortunately, Molly is looking good because you missed the sign that we was on the air.
I know, right? This is reality radio. Okay, come on.
Everybody that saw you adjust. Everybody saw Molly get adjusted. This is listen, because we already have, to our listeners, as you all know, we already have problems with remote broadcast. This is the problem with radio is also visual, because if it was not visual and people were just listening, they wouldn't have saw that. You could do that. I wouldn't have to shave or nothing. We could just do our thing. Oh, okay. Hello and welcome to Cognitions, Speaking the Unspeakable with JP.
And Stacy D.
I am JP Craddock, and that is the one and only Stacy D Love. We are broadcasting remotely from KUAW Radio. That was your check-in, because that didn't make no sense.
Yeah, I'm about to get on D. He's putting the wig a little bit too far up on the forehead. You know, I ain't got no big forehead, so bring it in a little bit, because it's showing all, you know, because you gray women, at least I do. I really gray around the crown, and that's like trying to tell people what my age is. You know,
who are you talking about? You just did that yourself. He who?
My stylist.
Oh, you was correcting what the stylist did wrong.
Well, I couldn't correct it because I had to sew my wigs on, because I can't be like getting flipped and whipped and the wig is laying over there on the floor. So I get my wig sewed on. I get sewn
on. Stacy D, it looks good though. In fact, it looked good before you shifted it to the right. Like you didn't even need
I was bringing it up.
You was bringing it up. Okay. On behalf of the stylist, because the stylist is clearly in trouble.
Yeah, he's in trouble.
The stylist had done a good job. Whatever you noticed, nobody noticed it until you started shifting and moving everything around. Okay. Stacy D, what's going on? How's things in Stacy D's world?
Hey, everything is going good. I just really want to do a real quick shout out to my daughters. You know, last week I said that they always have a fight and they end up leaving before we're doing our little gathering on cooking, you know, just us being together and loving on each other in the kitchen, 3 generations. And guess what? There was not a fight until about 10 o'clock.
That's great.
Yes.
They almost made it through the whole day. Another couple of hours, the fight wouldn't have counted.
And we was almost done, so I was happy. Y'all go ahead on. But I still was stuck with cleaning up all the kitchen, because, you know, I'm not one of those that clean as you cook. But one of my daughters, she does the cleaning while I cook.
Well, if you would have had them cleaning, they wouldn't have had time to fight.
It's that mouth, man. It's the mouth.
You should have had them cleaning at 10.
Do you know what we got into it about? You want to know what we got into it about?
Of course I do.
Okay, so
I'm probably gonna bust out laughing.
No, it was real nice. We make the menu up weeks in advance because with my hectic schedule, I have to look through it's a ritual. It's a routine how we do this. We make the menu up. We go through the cabinets, the refrigerator downstairs in the cupboard, and check and see what all we already have and what we don't have. Make the grocery list, and then I do not like going to the grocery store. So I have to go to the grocery store like at 7 o'clock in the morning when they first open up and all that. So why they wanted to add stuff to the menu?
Because it's probably something that you like, the bread pudding that you be trying to make once a year.
I keep telling you, don't do the bread pudding on Thanksgiving. You'll get some bread pudding.
I'm just saying they not putting up with you talking about what you're not gonna do. They want it on the menu.
Well, my baby girl, Lenny, my baby, that's my baby. She wanted a strawberry shortcake, and you know I do my cakes all by scratch.
It's the only way.
I'm no other way. And well, you know, you keep everything: cake, flour, vanilla extract. You know, you have all that stuff in the cupboard. It's not a big thing, but it's very time consuming. And she gonna say, well, I already have the strawberries made. Do you know how much it takes for the strawberries to get made? You just cutting strawberries up, putting a little bit of lemon juice and a little bit of sugar in a bag, and you keep, you know, stirring it up so it can get juicy, so you can put
shaking it up, shake
it up.
Yeah.
So, not to mention, I have to make the homemade, because I don't do Cool Whip. That's homemade too. And with the Cool Whip, you know, that takes time because you have to look at it and bring it up and do it down and bring it up. But we was almost done cooking. So I did make the strawberry shortcake.
They didn't help?
Huh?
They didn't help? Well, she did the strawberries.
She did the strawberries. Her and her daughter cut the strawberries up.
Let me defend your baby. Her perspective is strawberry shortcake is not strawberry shortcake without the strawberries. So the strawberries are the most important part. Without the strawberries, it's just shortcake. And who's just eating shortcake? Nobody. So on the one hand, she took the easy way out, but on the other hand, she saved strawberry shortcake.
And there was no more strawberry shortcake after Sunday. It was gone.
Oh, I wish. See, because I drive over to your crib today to get some strawberry shortcake. Okay.
At our next gathering, I'll make strawberry shortcake.
Thank you, Stacy D. Now you're talking. Okay. I was thinking about this because your class reunion should be this year. And which means
I'm like I'm doing bad.
You're doing real bad. It's April. You should already be
2021. Okay, Eric.
No, don't try to handle it right now on the air, Stacy D.
Eric D. Williams, I'm calling you out. You are not on your job because I have not gotten an email or anything. We understand that it is the pandemic, but Washington class class needs to have their class reunion because he always puts it together, and I'm just like the helper. But he gets it together. Yes.
Just because I just reminded you that you should have started planning your class reunion 2 months ago does not mean you start handling class reunion committee business right now.
I know.
Now listen,
Eric
this is about
Cowboy Williams. I need you to get on that.
Oh my God. Jesus.
At Clipping to Please. He's going to be on our show one of these days when his schedule meets. Clipping to Please, right there on State Avenue. Love you, brother. Okay, come on.
Okay, can I do my check-in?
Oh, hold on, party people.
We're going to have to come up with a code word for you, Stacy D, because you get to talking, good Lord, mercy.
Wait a minute. Is that the pot calling the kettle black? Okay, come on, JP. Let me hear what
we're going to have to come up with a code word. Okay. Okay, your class reunion, I was thinking about this. Your class reunion is this year, which means mine is next year. Here's what I was thinking about. Because I was wondering, I'm about to discuss something that's a part of the guy code, but I was wondering, do you ladies have this in your girl code? I have a couple of friends that at the class reunion, they like to reminisce. Reminisce, which is cool. That's what you do at a class reunion, you reminisce. But what I have noticed as the years have gone by, the stories they tell from high school have really changed a lot, to the point where now when they reminiscing on these stories, they're the hero.
Oh,
they have saved the day.
they say today.
And I am like the flunky who is the weak loser who needed them to save me in high school. Now, here's the thing. Those who know me know this is not even a part of my personality to need somebody to save me.
I want to be saved.
And I'm disgusted by weakness. So the last thing I've ever been is weak and needing somebody to save me. But here's what happens. This is where the guy code comes in. When we have a friend amongst men, when we have a friend who is telling and reminiscing on a story and our wives are present, we cannot correct them on the story in front of their wives, because if they are presenting the story and they're the hero, it's against the guy code to correct that story in front of their wife, because she wasn't there. So she's like, oh, my baby, he's something. My baby was something in high school. And I'm like, a damn liar is what he is. But the guy code. And so 2 things. 1, you cannot correct the story if wives are present. Because my wife, I just tell her in the car, like, can you believe that story this fool told? Let me tell you how that really went down.
Really went down.
Right. But you can't do it in front of his wife. And then the other thing, especially when it comes to class reunions, and I want you to be very, thinking about this, Stacy D. When you're at the class reunion, another reason why you cannot correct a person's story is if their life, has not been as kind to them as it has been to you. Because they need those glory days from high school. Yes, and their perspective is, you got too much going on to rob me of this story. I'm going to tell my version of this story. And so the guy code prevents you. You got to let them have it, because you look like a jerk if you are correcting the story of someone who has struggled and had a rough time since high school. Now, do you ladies have this same code? Because I don't want you to hurt people's feelings at your class reunion, Stacy D. So do y'all have that?
I don't think so. I think our thing about it is who's gonna look more snatched.
Really?
Who aged well? Who aged well? And here's the funny thing about class reunion is when you got the little bitty skinny girl, that now she's looking like yeah. I think that's my little inside fun, because I always been thin, thick. Have always been
thick. Stacy D, I need you to make up your mind. Now, you've been thick for years, and now it's the thin, thick. I don't understand what you are, Stacy D.
Thicky thin.
Thicky thin. Okay. Thicky thin in high school, thicky thick now.
Thicky thick now, but trying to get thicky thin.
Yes.
Trying to get thicky thin, yeah.
Right. Well, you are right.
I actually wear my bikini in Kansas City and not just in the Bahamas but nobody know me. But
right. Well, listen, you're right about that. It's shocking how some people age and show up at these class reunions. You are right. Yeah. And what I usually find is it be the girls that I craved the most.
Oh, I know one you craved the most. She actually aged well though. She's in my class. Oh, I know.
I don't even know.
CR.
What is it?
CR. She was in my class. CR. That's how we gonna give.
Oh, I don't know. You know, I had a lot of
in my class like CRs. Oh,
I had a lot of cravings. Okay.
I know about that one. You tell me about that.
Okay. But remember, I was committed with, I was in a committed, it didn't go well. That's neither here nor there. Hopefully, if she's watching, she won't figure out who CR was, because it could still end up being a problem.
So you had one of them crazy ones. Okay, here go another one about class reunions. What about all the guys who had jerry curls? Did you have a jerry curl?
Everybody had jerry curl. If you had jerry, you had curl.
I mean, I had a jerry curl too. But I'm talking about all the guys that had jerry curls, they're bald now.
Me included. You know why? Because of the jerry curl. That jerry curl juice
made the men go bald.
That jerry curl juice ripped the hair out of all of our scalps.
It ripped it out. It ripped it out. Okay, well, we didn't have enough time. We didn't have enough fun with speaking about what's going on in our lives. Give me some good news stuff, Gerald. Come on. And you only have one, maybe two.
It is time for mental health and illness in the news. Okay, we, of course, let's just start quickly with an update on the Derek Chauvin trial for the murder of George Floyd. Okay, last week, I had talked about how, from my perspective, what I saw in the video, that he began to have a panic attack when they tried to put him in the back of that car, which led to the whole ridiculousness that took place. Well, fortunately, they ended up kind of addressing that. They weren't as specific as I was about panic disorder and you know, that whole thing, but they did mention the anxiety, and they did say that he was exhibiting there's active aggression, and then there's active resistance. He was exhibiting active resistance. He was just trying to get free. He was terrified. He was having a panic attack, one of the anxiety disorders. He was not being actively aggressive. So what they said is, you do not treat someone like that who is only exhibiting active resistance. He was not trying to fight these foods. And so I was glad that they mentioned that. Today, a pulmonologist testified that, quote, this was a big day today. Mr. Floyd died from a low level of oxygen, ... PEA arrhythmia that caused his heart to stop. The cause of this is, quote, shallow breathing, small breaths that basically could not carry air through his lungs to the essential areas of the lungs, and he couldn't get oxygen. That's how he died. This is a big day today. So wonderful, wonderful, wonderful that came out. Here's the charges, because I didn't know what all the charges were. Here's the charges, because we could end up with some riots if this does not go well. Second-degree unintentional murder means that the state has to prove that Chauvin's conduct was a substantial factor in causing Floyd's death. That has a maximum sentence of 40 years. Third-degree murder means the state must prove that Chauvin caused Floyd's death and that he acted without regard to human life. That
was the last charge they put on him.
That only carries 25 years. So that's a problem. And then second-degree manslaughter, the state must prove that Chauvin consciously took chances of causing death or great bodily harm to another. The maximum penalty on that is 10 years, which means a murderer with good behavior could be out in what, 5?
7.
If that jury screws this up, we're gonna end up having some problems. Because if he ends up getting a 10-year sentence, it is not going to be good. Okay, so that is that. Last week, we had another attack upon the Capitol. A gentleman by the name of Noah Green, 25-year-old, launched his own personal attack upon the state capitol by ramming his car into 2 U.S. Capitol police officers, killing one of them. Now, here's where we get into the mental health and illness in the news part. He had written that the American government is the #1 enemy of Black people. He's African American. And stated, quote, "I have suffered multiple home break-ins, food poisonings, assaults, unauthorized operations in the hospital, and mind control.
Mind control.
After the terrible afflictions that I have suffered, presumably by the CIA and FBI," end of quote. He's delusional.
Yes, he is.
Psychotic. He is experiencing psychosis, specifically because psychosis is hallucinations or delusions or both. These are delusions of paranoia. And so when we assess for that, we ask those specific questions. Do you ever feel like people are following you? They're tapping your phones. The CIA or the FBI is watching you. These are the questions that I ask every day when I'm doing an assessment for that. And so it just goes to show that mental illness is continuing untreated. Mental illness is continuing to wreak havoc in society.
Do you have any background of him even having any type of assistance?
Well, he's a follower of the Nation of Islam, Farrakhan. He had lots of videos on his page. Yes.
Yeah, they don't believe in that.
And so he's mentally ill. He was mentally ill. Okay. I tried to find an update on that, the damn fool who snuck into the elephant enclosure. Did you hear about that, Stacy?
Yeah, with his child.
With his child at the San Diego Zoo.
A good picture.
Yes. This man had his child, made it through 2 security fences, one of which was electrified. So he carried his child through an electrified fence. He gets in there with the elephant to take pictures. The elephant turns around and gets pissed and starts screaming.
Knock on the door.
The elephant started screaming and charging at this fool.
With his baby.
With the 2-year-old. But here, hold up. I'm telling this. I couldn't get an update on this, but I'm speaking on behalf of the elephant. Okay, this is elephant love I'm presenting right now.
Oh, the elephant. Okay, come on.
Yes.
Come on, JP, give it to us.
This fool was so scared trying to get out of there that he dropped the baby. Okay, so the elephant was charging at him, but when he dropped the baby, the elephant stopped and looked at him like, "Dude, are you kidding me? You dropped the baby?" So the elephant stopped and gave him time to pick up the baby. And then when he started running again, the elephant started screaming at him again. But that's what I'm saying. Sometimes elephants get a bad rap. People act like elephants just want to stampede, or they just want to trample you. That is not necessarily the case. The elephant was shocked that he dropped the baby. If the elephant would have kept charging, the elephant could have killed him and the baby. And so, of course, he was arrested, and they trying to figure out if he was intoxicated. And I wasn't able to get an update because they haven't, they're not done with him yet. But can you even believe that even happened? Like, ridiculous. Okay.
For nothing past nothing anymore.
Who does that? Like,
he did.
Okay. More mental health and illness in the news. Okay, because we got time for a little bit more. Okay. Before we get to one, maybe two. Okay. But the question of the day is going to be very short. Oh, and we were so busy with your wig, I didn't get to what the question of the day was because you distracted me. So coming up is going to be the question of the day, which is, does my mom hate me because I look and act, quote unquote, just like my daddy? Okay, we're going to get to that in just a minute.
We can also flip that, because we have a lot of single dads now.
Yes.
My dad hates me because I look just like my mother. And I actually, not meaning to step on your feet, Gerald, JP, but I actually did an interview with a young man who has an estranged relationship with his father because he looked just like his mother.
Okay, save that, Stacy D. You confusing the listeners because they all thinking about it, and I need them to be focusing on mental health and illness in the news. Okay. Okay. This is unfortunate. Asian Americans have been targeted in nearly 3,800 hate crimes since the pandemic started because of Trump's China virus comments. Okay, he's an idiot. He's the village idiot. And so I am hoping that this gets better, because we are just in the midst of, it's just horrible and awful that because an elderly Asian woman was attacked and people stood there and they just watched it. And so
and videoed it.
And videotaped it, but they did not try to help her, did not try to save her, and that's unfortunate. I remember, when Nadine and I were still having foster kids, we had a kid who went to school and told some Asian peers that they need to go back to where they came from, and he hates Asians. Yes. Oh yeah, he did. Okay, now mind you, this was a kid who didn't even know where he came from. He didn't know he was Black until I told him, literally. Because we were talking about something and I was talking to him about, well, as a Black male in America, and his response was, Black? Who Black? You? I'm Black? The boy didn't know he was Black, and here's the reason why. He was living with his mother prior to coming into foster care. All of his siblings was white. His mother was white. His father had never been in the picture. And they lived in some small town. There was no Black people there. His mother obviously never told him that he was Black, which was interesting because the boy looked Black. Okay, he looked biracial. So I was trying to figure out how he was in middle school finding out he was Black up in my house. Neither here nor there. Okay, so he didn't know where he came from, which made me appalled that he told his Asian peers that they need to go back to where they came from. So as a consequence, because I needed him to learn something from this, I told him, if we have people over to the house and we put them out, when they leave, they take all their stuff with them, right? He's like, yes. I said, so since you told them that they need to go back where they came from, we're going to pretend that they actually go back where they came from, which is Asia, and they take all of their stuff with them, which means for the next 2 weeks, you are not going to be able to have anything that was remotely made in Asia. Let me tell you, this kid, that was almost all of his clothes, okay? That was his shoes, video games. He had to give up. The only thing we couldn't take, because both of our cars are made in Asia also. The only thing we couldn't take was him being able to ride in the car, so I charged him for that. Okay? I was like, you got to pay to ride in this car that was made in Asia. So this fool, little fool, ends up 3 days in, he's professing his love for all things Asian. Okay? He's like, because I had him wear a uniform. He had to wear a uniform because I was like, all your clothes, most of the clothes from JCPenney's are made in like Indonesia. It's made in parts of Asia. I was like, you don't even have shoes to wear up in here. Like, you wearing slippers and a uniform because they went back where they came from and took all their stuff. 2 weeks. He was like professing his love for Asia. So we had him write a long letter as an apology. to those peers. And I just wanted him to understand, and I'm addressing this because I need for everybody else to understand. If people from Asia left and took all of their things with them, life in America would be totally different. There is so much in America that is from Asia that we need to be thinking about that, because running through the streets and attacking elderly Asian women because a village idiot called a virus, the China virus, this is an atrocity. Come on, people. Let's not continue to be idiots forever. Let's pull it together. America is already looking bad enough. This is the last thing we need, is to be continuing these ridiculous shenanigans. Okay, I had to get that out. Okay, actually, okay, one more, Stacy D. This one is for you. This is for you, Stacy D. This is to help you, okay? I need you to start taking naps. You need to start taking naps.
I don't be sleepy.
What?
I don't be sleepy.
Well, pay attention, because you need a nap.
Yeah,
Studies have shown that there are benefits to a good nap. It improves memory, it lowers blood pressure, increases creativity, assists with problem solving, and impulse control. This is all per Dr. Daniel Amen, MD, psychiatrist, who said we need to be taking naps. Americans are not taking enough naps. I'm going to take a nap today.
How long do the nap have to be? Do it say like a 30-minute power nap? How long?
Here's his instructions on taking these naps. 1, choose a dark, quiet spot. 2, keep it short, 10 to 20 minutes. See, that's where I struggle, because if you wake me up in 10 minutes, I'm punching whoever wake me up in 10 minutes. Like, I just got to sleep. You don't wake nobody up from a nap in 10 minutes, neither here nor there, 10 to 20 minutes maximum. And the reason why is because that will avoid disrupting your nighttime sleep pattern. His thoughts are, if you take a nap that's more than 10 to 20 minutes long, it is going to result in you being unable to sleep at night, which actually does make sense.
Yeah, because that's not a nap. You went to sleep.
I thought a nap need to take at least an hour, but okay. Then
power nap. Yeah.
Well, I hardly sleep at night anyway, so I'm like,
we all on the same. Exactly.
The third thing is good temperatures. Sleep, you can't have your house too hot, you can't have your house too cold. You got to have the temperature just perfect for this nap to be beneficial. Sleep benefits the brain. It is like a reboot to then wake up and seriously handle some business. This is wonderful. We would all be more successful if we just took like a 10 to 20 minute nap every day.
So instead of having a lunch break, so we need to have a lunch break at work and plus a nap break.
Well, I think in Europe, don't they take a 2-hour break in Europe? I think they take 2 hours. I think they take naps and we need to do something different. Okay.
We need to do something different.
Okay. Me up in here.
So Joe, do you still wake up late? Or do you still wake up like about 10?
I get up between I wake up between like 8:30 and 10 at the latest.
8:30, I've already been studying my Bible, have prayed and everything. Okay, I'm gonna need you to wake up a little sooner.
Because you know I'm on Sasha's sleep schedule. My baby 2 years old, she party till 2 o'clock in the morning, okay? She is on, I keep telling y'all, she is on a diva sleep schedule. She sleeps like Mariah Carey. She sleeps like she put on a full concert at the Sprint Center and she's exhausted and she sleeps till 12. So I get up early enough to get paperwork and stuff done before she gets up. So after pandemic is over, we're going to put her on a regular sleep schedule. But at this time, she's exhausted from these concerts. Okay, she's doing sellout shows all night.
I know she is. And eating ice cream. I remember I was at one of you guys' concerts one night.
At 2 in the morning.
At 2 in the morning.
She's 2. Okay.
No one sleeps.
2 on Mariah Carey's sleep schedule. Okay, let's get to the question of the day. Does my mom hate me because I look and act just like my father? And Stacy D, as you pointed out, this can go both ways. I have only seen it when it is the male child looking like the father, but of course it can go both ways. So let's start by calling it what it is. Let's call it technically what this is called is transference, okay? And transference is when a person in your present reminds you so much of a person in your past or of another person in your life that you begin to transfer thoughts, feelings, and then actions onto the person in the present. This is a real thing. I need everybody to understand, like, this is a serious thing, so serious that there's another term to help prevent therapists from experiencing it, which is countertransference. Because there, for example, if I had, since we was talking about high school earlier, if I had a client in that looked like my high school girlfriend and sounded like her and reminded me of, huh?
I was messing with you with CR.
I ain't figured out who CR is yet. Oh, CR. She must have been something though. Okay. And so if in the sessions, as my female client is discussing her relational issues and I begin to interact with her with some old stuff, some resentment or who knows what, that's countertransference, because at that point, it's not about her. I have left the session and I'm in the presence of my ex and interacting. And so when it comes to parents, this is something that absolutely does happen. A lot of people are quick to say that it does not happen. It does not happen. Oh, it definitely does happen. So let's talk about how does it look from the outside? Because if you are witnessing this in some family members, some friends, this has to be addressed. Let me tell you how it looks from the outside, okay? It oftentimes looks that, you know, this is when you have that family where you notice that affection is not evenly distributed with the kids. You notice that in this case, I'm talking about mothers, but as Stacy D said, it could be a father too. But you notice that they are more affectionate with all their other kids except that bad one who is always in trouble somehow. Okay, it's that family where the mom yells and fusses and complains disproportionately and disciplines disproportionately. Okay, where one child seems to be getting more discipline than the other ones and getting yelled at more than the other ones and getting fussed at more than the other ones. It can even look like, I've seen this and it's horrible, where you have all the other kids dressed really nice and then that kid is looking raggedy. And the mother's explanation is, well, he bad, he grounded, he in trouble. He
stays in trouble, so he can't have any clothes. I'm like Cinderella.
Why do I not have that? It is like a Cinderella, it looks like Cinderella syndrome.
Yes, it is.
Okay. And then sometimes you will actually hear her say, you just like your daddy. You act just like your daddy. Your daddy.
Just like your daddy. All
yes.
that.
Yes. And so it can also not just be the mother. Sometimes it can be grandparents. It can be grandma being more affectionate to the grandbabies, you know, except that one grandbaby who has the problematic father that can't nobody stand, and she can be distant from him. This is something that came up in a session a couple of weeks ago. It's that family where the younger kids may be by the current husband, but then the oldest one is from a previous relationship. And so that stepfather treats his biological kids differently than he treats
Now, we
his.
talked about that a couple of weeks ago.
Yes, all of it is this. That's how it looks from the outside. This is how it looks from the inside. From the inside, it can look like your mom interacting differently with you after she has had a negative interaction with your father. It can look like you are, as Stacy D said, a modern version of Cinderella. It can feel like all of your mistakes and negative behaviors are somehow more upsetting to your mom than the infractions of your siblings. Somehow everything you do, she's screaming and cussing and carrying on, but they can do something, they robbed Quick Trip and she's like, oh baby, I'm gonna get you out. Let me call Stacy D. What? Come on now. Because Stacy D will get you out.
I get you out.
It can look like your mom having more reasons not to buy you the same toys and things that she's getting for your siblings. It can look like you are not loved as much.
And that's exactly how they feel, Drew. Because like I
exactly
said,
how they feel.
I did an interview with a young man because he's always asking me, his friend is always asking me, what is the subject of the program? And I told him, and he was like, oh, wow. That he experienced that. It was from his dad. He looked just like his mother. I mean, if you see them, you would think that they were brothers and sisters. I mean, they look so much alike, like they same mother, same father. And he said that it just really hurt him and took a lot out of him, and he did not thrive. This is the problem, because he missed that love from his father, that he did not thrive in life like his sisters did. And his mother tried to compensate for it and tried her best, to give it, but he did not have that love from his father. And it really played a big part in him. I mean, he dealt with drugs, criminal things. He just didn't, he wasn't fulfilled. And as a mother, and as a single mother at one time, well, I was a single mother, it's very hard, especially if you was done wrong by that child's father. But hopefully the motherly instincts will take over and prevail, and you're able just to show more love. Because my baby, she looked just like her daddy. She looked nothing like me. And honey, my first husband was something else. But I believe that he loved me more than I could probably ever. I just wasn't ready for his love. But I just love my baby. But I seen that on the back end of my mother, because she did not like my first husband at all. But my daughter was so loving that she just had to take her and love her. But she did have some little resentments to her. She wouldn't keep her as much. Like when I went to college, she literally split my kids up. My baby girl went with my husband's mother, and yeah. But once she started getting, after my baby got older, that was one of the sunshines of her eyes, because she was just such a loving little girl, but she did want to have resentment towards her. But I thank you, Jesus, that the motherly intuitions of my mother took over, and she couldn't mistreat my child. But yeah, I mean, I actually really seen it. I really seen it. And also it's really hard, even as a grandmother, when you can see how your child is having so many problems with this person. It's really hard not to transfer that anger to that other person. It's really hard, because guess what, at the end of the day, and this is only as a grandmother, that child is your child, and someone's trying to do something to your child. So yeah, it's hard, but we always have to stay mindful. And as a mother, Gerald don't have to deal with this because he only has one child. But I always says this to
now,
my
child. Ooh, you gonna upset my other kids.
Oh, I'm sorry. you only have one daughter, but you have two boys. Is that better?
Yes.
That I love all my children equally, but differently, because all of them needs a different type of love.
Well, this is something that I feel like, at least in the Black community, everybody tries to not talk about it. And I feel like people do notice it, because when I am getting people in therapy who are addressing this, oftentimes it's adults who it's been going on their whole life.
Their whole life.
And nobody ever talked about it. Nobody wanted to confront that parent and say, are you treating your child differently because you hate their father? Because they're not their father. And it never gets addressed, which takes me to, what do we do about it? If you see this from the outside in a family member, you have to address this with that parent, that step parent, that grandparent. You have to point out the differences that you see and how that parent is interacting with that child. Sometimes it's coming from a subconscious place. Like
most definitely.
Yeah, some parents they consciously resent and do not like that child, but a lot of times, I would say probably most of the time, they're not aware. In their mind, it really is because, well, he bad. He always in trouble. He did. And you might have to point out, well, all your kids are heathens. All your kids are bad and in trouble. Why is it that you think this one?
Girl always go through the front door. You just kicks the front door down all the time.
Is that too?
Has to kick the front door down.
Was that too rough?
That really was.
Present a gentler approach, Stacy D.
Okay, this is Stacy D approach, and I have used this, like the child, and I seen the transference, and I was like, oh, so what did Andy do this time? Oh, he did such and so and so, so and so, and I tries to let them see, is the punishment really for the incident that they did? And we need to have boundaries on the punishment, and you also have to discuss with them the punishment and the reason why, because that's what a lot of times they do. And then they was like, oh, okay, I do need to put a limit on. I'm like, yeah, you just get upset and just put outlandish punishments on it, and all the children need to be done like that. I'm like, so to me, I just think all punishments deserve the same time limit, because guess what? We all sin.
But how do you?
Ain't no bigger than the other sin.
True. But how do you address the underlying factor that they are disproportionately disciplining that one kid because they hate that kid's daddy?
Because we start saying all of the punishments needs the exact same amount of time. It doesn't matter because this is Susie and that's Ralph, and he got an F, and he had a fight on the playground. All punishments need to consist of 4 days. That's my first part. All punishments are the exact same time. So then the child doesn't seem like that. And then I'm able to get the playing ground a little bit better, so then I can go in and say and see some of the things that I'm seeing with the children when we're discussing the punishments and what they did.
When do I get to come in and kick the door down and say, quit acting like that kid is his daddy because you hate his daddy, you act like you hate your kid? Because when do I get to come in and say that, Stacy D?
When she tells me that he got on a 4-day punishment because he drank all the milk and put the empty milk carton in the refrigerator, and he got on a 4-day punishment behind that, then that's when I will let her know, then there must be some underlying things about that, because guess what? That happens all the time in my house. And you know what I do? I tell them to come here, get it out the refrigerator, and throw it in the trash. I don't think that, and that's when I go into the underlying problems.
Yes, because
I went to the back door. JP always want to kick down. I kicked down the door. I kicked enough doors down getting my people. Okay, I kick enough doors down, so I like going through the back door. Or
You know, I like to hit it hard up front, Stacy D.
All the time.
Therapy ain't but 60 minutes. You got to hit it hard. But another way, because I'm wanting, how I address things in therapy is not how I'm expecting our listeners to address it. I do like Stacy D's approach. It's more gentle. This is interesting. Stacy D's the gentle one. Why are you always the more gentle one? Are you kidding me? Stacy D, you are Stacy D. These people don't know you. Stacy D.
That's why I'm the bell bondsman. I get to act the all the way fool.
I'm like, how did you end up the more gentle one between the two of us?
I am. That's an age. I think that's from my age, because in the beginning we were a tag team. So I think this have came with age.
And you was a handful in high school. When you get to the class reunion, they're gonna be like, I've been listening to this radio show. Where is Stacy? Because you know you was a handful.
Yes, I was.
You still a handful.
Not anymore.
Okay, so back to kicking in the front door. You don't have to do it like I would do it, but what you could also do, this is in alignment with what Stacy D is saying. You can ask her, you know, is it possible that there's something else about this child that is standing out with you? Is there something else about this child that is different from your other kids? What are some of the other differences between this child and your other children, to try to work that parent around to bringing it from the subconscious to the conscious that I hate his daddy. His daddy is horrible. He don't pay no child support. He don't ever want to. And it's like, is it possible? Sometimes you just have to ask a person, is it possible that because this child looks so much like that daddy and shares some mannerisms of that father, is it possible that you are kind of having some transference issues? Are you displacing some anger onto this child? I feel like families have to address, stop sitting at the family reunion, watching this play itself out and nobody's saying anything. Everybody's whispering, you see how she treat that baby? She don't have to treat that baby. You know it's because she hate the daddy. Well, the daddy ain't worth a damn. Come on, people.
Okay, mother.
Stop whispering. Yes, but I'm tired of families whispering behind the mother's back when they know you are unfairly mistreating this child because you hate his father. Stop it. Or that step parent. You are unfairly treated just because this child is not biological. That child did not choose to have a different father. That child did not choose to be your stepchild. That is a child. That child deserves the same amount of love and affection and everything else that your biological children are getting. And if you wasn't able to do it, you shouldn't have married her, which goes back to the previous show. Now, if you are the child and you are experiencing this, address it with your mom or your stepdad or your grandmother, but be able to back up what you're saying with examples of the differential treatment between you and your siblings. Express how it makes you feel. Remind these adults that you did not choose your father. You didn't have a say-so in who your father was. You didn't ask for them to make you. You didn't ask to be born, but you're here and you do not deserve to be a casualty of the war between these two adults. And explain that as a child, you just want to be loved and accepted in the same ways in which your siblings are. Because this is how, when this comes up in therapy, because usually the parent brings the kid in, he's so bad, he's awful. He awful.
And that's the number one problem right there. Parents, do not say that to your children, because you are putting that into the atmosphere. We're supposed to always praise and uplift our children, even the ones that's naturally not ours. We're supposed to do that. That's how we build a great generation. We're always supposed to lift them up. I really get upset when people say they're bad and they're heathens in front of the children. That
Because
get me started.
well, they're essentially saying, I do not like this child. I love my child, but I don't like my child. It's not
Really, maybe it's the behaviors that the child is having is the reason why you're not liking them. So maybe those are some things you need to look at. And I'm going to do a disclaimer. Stacy D's children, this is not for spoiled brat children because someone got a bigger piece of cake or someone got 5 Christmas presents and the other one only got 4, and you're mistreating the other child, but your 4 costs just as much as your 5. I can't even give my children, they're grown, Christmas presents in front of each other because they're counting and trying to tally it up. So disclaimer, this is not for the spoiled children. These are for children that are really having a problem, who really feel like they're being mistreated.
Stacy D, are your kids about to accuse you of being guilty of what we talking about today?
Yes, I always get a lecture.
What? Why are your kids watching the show?
Because they better. Because we promote each other, honey. It's a family thing. It's a family thing.
Let me tell you, which is wonderful, okay? My kids, because you see I talk about these heathens on a regular basis because they don't watch the show. But if they do, I'm going to be like, what did I say that was not true? Did I say something that was not true? Are you serious? I haven't been paying your rent? Who is it then? Somebody who looked just like me. Okay, so it's usually in individual therapy when I meet with the kid that I end up finding out these things that, my mother does not seem to like me. My mother said I'm just like my father. My mother hates my father, and I think she hates me because she hates my daddy. That's when it comes out. And then in the individual sessions, I prepare the child to address this with the mother in family therapy where I can support the child.
Yes.
Because, once it's out, I'm kicking in that door, like you said.
Gonna kick the door in, Gerald.
She's getting it after that.
Yeah. And then we also see a lot of the behaviors happening because the child is trying to get some type of attention from their parent, regardless if it's positive or negative. They really just want you to accept them and acknowledge them. And they really don't care if it's negative or positive.
Right. Okay, so that is it for our question of the day. I do have a correction. I think we have time for a correction. I said something on the air. I misspoke. Yes, and so I need to do a correction. I misspoke when this was a couple of weeks ago. We were talking about how I got played by the homeless woman at the pharmacy and I was trying to buy the baby's milk and the baby was healthier than me and that heifer, right?
Okay.
and we were talking about our homelessness problem in Kansas City. And I was saying if we have a huge problem, but we don't have tent cities here in KC. Well, but I said on the air that we didn't, but I've been holed up in this house. I went to my office the other day.
Oh, wow. I must didn't hear you say that. Yes, we do.
There is a tent city 2 blocks from my office now. And on Southwest Trafficway in Westport, and they are also camped out on the lawn at City Hall.
Yeah.
In protest.
But they're about to get evicted.
They're getting evicted. But here's the reason why they're getting evicted, because human waste is turning up in the fountains and the air vents around City Hall.
The air vent?
So their goal, I guess, is to force city officials to do something about the problem of homelessness. But it's like, okay, we want to help y'all, but we smelling pee.
Time out. Where is the air vents? Aren't they sort of high?
They're peeing all in that area. Yes. And let me tell you, the tent city by my office, it's big. I'm talking some big tents too.
Some nice tents too.
It was like 2 or 3 bedroom tents.
Yes.
The tents, I done paid $8,000 for an office that I have not used during the pandemic. I drive up the street and it's a 2-bedroom tent with a deck off the side. I'm gonna give up my office. I'm moving to the tent city. I'm like, why is the homeless person's tent bigger than my office?
Bigger than
Stacy,
before we leave, I got one thing to ask. Mr. Walker, did you have a Jerry curl back in the day? All right, then. Sign us out, JP.
Okay.
This was a great one,
guys. Thank you so much for joining us today. And remember, worry about nothing.
And pray about everything.
God bless and take care.
Bye-bye now.